Okay guys, I'm a big advocate of straight walls. I don't like a bunch of in and outs everywhere just to say I'm going around obstacles. I like straight walls. And sometimes you have to lose a couple inches here or there of your floor space to make something look good. Okay, and I have an example of that right here in this layout. I've got a long wall here. I'm starting down here in this corner. I pulled some of the wall wrap back, and this is what the wall wrap looks like on the other side, by the way. And it's got a vapor barrier, a plastic vapor barrier on one side. The other side is like, you know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches of fiberglass. Okay, fiberglass insulation. But we've exposed the block wall. Now, we don't have any obstacles from the floor up to the ceiling on this section of this wall. But down here, about 12 feet down, I run into my first major obstacle in my framing. I've got a PVC pipe, all right? This is the main sewage lateral that all the sewage in the house goes through to exit the house, okay? This is public sewage here. But it's in a terrible position because it's strapped to the wall. All right, it's strapped right to the wall, right in the middle of my wall. And, you know, what do you do? All right? It's a question I get a lot. Do I build up underneath the pipe and then build another section of wall over top of this pipe? You know, do I try to move the pipe? All right? So the answer to the second question, do I move the pipe? No. 95% of the time, we're leaving all the plumbing pipes exactly where they are and we're working around it. But here it is. It's strapped to my wall and it's in the way of my wall. I can't pull my 6 inches out like I've been on those other walls that I just showed you because this pipe's in my wall. But down here, I don't have any pipe. The pipe starts right here. So I have two options. I can build the first section of wall at 6 inches because there's no pipe here. All right, there's no pipe here. So I can build 6 inches out. And then I could come down and then I could step the wall out the rest of the way. Okay? Which means I'd have a jog in my wall here. I'd have a little outside corner about a foot away from the wall. I don't like doing that. I like to keep walls straight as long as I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this long wall in front of this pipe. All right, I'm not going to build under it and try to build over it. I'm going to build in front of it. Am I going to lose some space in my finished room? Yes. So what? I got all this space to live in. All right? I really am concerned about the design and what this is going to look like when it's finished. All right? So to build in front of this pipe, I have to know how far off the pipe sticks from the wall. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to find the obstacle point that's furthest off the wall. And then you want to build in front of that, okay? In our case right here, we've got little brackets here, little supports that are holding up this pipe. These are actually the furthest point off the wall that I want to build in front of. So I'm going to measure off the concrete to the outside of this obstacle, to this bracket. All right, and that's 5.5 inches. Okay, if I come out 5.5 inches with my line, this pipe will be behind my wall. I hope that makes sense. That's not rocket science. So what we want to do is we want to come down here to the beginning of our layout point, right down here, and we want to come out 5.5 inches. All right, make a mark, 5.5 inches. All right, which means we can build our wall from the concrete floor all the way up to the bottom of the floor joist with no obstacle in our way. All right, with the pipe completely behind our wall. But then what I want to do is I want to come 3.5 more inches off that 5.5 inch mark and make another mark. Now why did I do that? Because a 2x4 wall is 3.5 inches in depth. All right? So I want to be snapping my line on the front of our wall so that we can see it when we stand our walls up and build it. So I come out another 3.5 inches. All right? And then to make that simple, we're going to put our tape up against the wall and measure out to that 3.5 inch mark. And we see that it's 9 inches. So 9 inches off the concrete is our wall line for this project to get that pipe behind our wall. All right, I hope that makes sense to you. You might want to watch that again, but that 9-inch mark, if I snap my red chalk line on that line, right through that crow's foot at 9 inches, my pipe will be behind my wall. So I have 9-inch mark here. I got to come up the other end of the wall and do the same exact thing. All right, so I'm going to put my tape measure up against the wall and make another 9-inch mark. Okay, 9 inches. Yeah, Mark and me are going to snap that line. Take that all the way down to the concrete wall, Mark. Okay. And I'm going to snap that twice, because it's a long one. Pop that twice. All right. So now our pipe, which is going to be right about here somewhere, I'll draw it on the floor. Here's our pipe. We're going to be setting on this side of the line. So our pipe now is completely behind our 2x4 wall. All right, so now you know what to do. If you've got one of these sewage lateral pipes, yours might be cast iron, it may be copper, or it may be Schedule 40 PVC like these. Most of the newer homes have Schedule 40 PVC. Now you know what to do. You build your wall right in front of it so that your wall can go from the floor all the way up, pass in front of the pipe, and connect up to the framing above. All right? You're not trying to build under it. You're not trying to build up and out and over it. None of that nonsense. Make it clean. Make it simple. Do not overcomplicate this stuff. You hear me say it all the time. It's not rocket science. This is just common sense. All right, so if you got the pipe on the wall, now you know what to do. All right, so we got all of our wall lines throughout the basement completed off of our exterior walls. We did it off camera. Now, the next step in getting your walls completely ready for location is to take all these wall lines that we have on the floor and transfer them straight up to the framing above, okay? Now, you can see our floor joists up here, right up here, our floor joist, every 16 inches. We've got to get that chalk line snapped right across them. All right, and the reason we're doing that is after we build our wall, and we build our walls laying down on the floor, and then we stand the whole wall up at one time. That is the correct way to frame basement walls. Now, there's other guys out there that'll tell you, well, just shoot a 2x4 to the floor and shoot one up overhead first, and then go back and cut each 2x4 that's going to be in your wall one at a time. Stick them in there between the two plates you just nailed and toenail them into position. That's rubbish. It's wrong. You'll be building weak, crooked, silly walls that I can't even get into. All right? It's wrong. All right? I don't care who I piss off. It's wrong. And I'm going to show you how to do it the right way. So the way to do it for perfectly plumb, and plumb means straight up and down. Perfectly plumb straight walls is to use a plumb bob, all right? And that is this brass device I have right here on the end of this string with the point on the end, all right? This is where we use Mother Nature and gravity, which never lies, to give us perfectly straight walls. This takes two people. I mean, if you're really good, you could do it yourself. I can do it myself, but I suggest you get somebody to help you do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my plumb bob, which has about a 9-foot piece of string on it, and I'm going to go up here to the bottom of my floor joist. And I'm going to transfer that line up here. And the way that I do that is I drop my plumb bob down onto the floor. All right. And up top here, wherever this string intersects my floor joist, my framing up here, wherever this string intersects, when the tip of that plumb bob is on my red line below, I'll make a mark up here where it intersects my lumber up above here, and thereby transferring the position of that line on the floor directly up here where I'm at. Alright, so this is a delicate operation, and sometimes it's good to have another person down below telling you if your point's right on the line. How am I looking down there, Chris?
Go towards the wall.
How's that?
I'd go towards the wall.
How's that?
Right there.
Is that it?
Yep.
Alright, now my point is right on the red line down there. Now up here, where the string is touching the floor joist, I'm going to make another one of those crow's foot right at the string location, right where it intersects the floor joist. Okay? And I'm going to do the same thing up here. I'm going to mark my X on the wall side of the line, so I know where the top of my plate needs to be positioned up here, the top of my wall. Alright, so I did it on this end of the wall. I'm going to go down the other end of the wall with the plumb bob and do the same thing on the other side. How's that looking, Chris?
It's good.
Is that it?
Yep, that's it.
Alright, so you can see my points right on the line. Now up above here, where my string is positioned along this floor joist, I'm going to make a crow's foot right on the bottom, the floor joist, right at the string location. And I'm going to make an X where I want my wall to sit towards the exterior concrete wall. Okay? Alright, so I've duplicated both ends of my wall where the exact location of the red line on the floor is. Now what you're going to need another person. You use the same chalk line. Alright, now Mark's down there. He's putting his end of the line on the crow's foot. Now I'm going to do the same thing on my end. How's that look, Mark?
Looks good.
Alright, and I'm going to pull down now and pop up. Okay, and if you look down the floor joist, there's a red line on every single one. Alright? Now, what we just did was we transferred that line on the floor exactly, perfectly straight up to the floor joist. Now, when we build our wall and we stand up our finished wall and we put the bottom plate on that red line and the top plate of our wall on that red line, the wall has no choice at all but to be perfectly plumb, straight up and down, and in addition to being plumb, perfectly straight. Now, we're building walls out of wood. Wood is not perfectly straight. Wood's got all kinds of bows and humps and turns in it, okay? Now that we have a red line up there, it's going to force us, when we shoot the top of our wall to that red line at each floor joist location, it's going to force our top plate to be straight as an arrow, which means our wall is going to be straight as an arrow. Now let's say you built your wall on the floor and stood it up and had a red line just on the floor. And this is where a lot of guys make mistakes. Guys will tell you if you just build it on the floor and then just use a 6-foot level on each side and just level each end, and then your wall will be straight. It sounds like a good story. It sounds like it should be true. But the problem with that is, if that top plate of your wall, which could be in this case 16 feet long, if it's got one bend in it, one bow in the middle of it, and you don't know it's got a bow in it because there's no red line up above, your wall's going to have a wicked S-shaped turn in it, or a smile or a crown or something at the top, which means your wall's not going to be perfect. So trust me when I tell you, this is the only way to get a perfectly straight wall, straight up and down, and a perfectly straight wall, left to right. A plumb bob and a chalk line. May seem like prehistoric tools, all right? These are the tools that my grandfather and his dad were using back in the 20s and the teens, but it's still the best way to build straight walls. All right, so make sure you transfer all of your wall lines from the floor up to your floor joist. Now, we have floor joists running perpendicular right now to the outside wall, so we have something to snap a line to. What if, for instance, this next wall, all right, we're gonna transfer this same line up, straight up. But the problem here is, when we get up here, we've got this gap. There's nothing to snap to. This is where our wall's going to be. So what do? Well, it's simple. What you have to do is you have to cut blocks of wood in between here, insert them and install them first, and then snap your line to those blocks of wood. So we're going to cut what's called cats now. That's what they're nicknamed, cats. And we're going to put wooden cats in here about every 2 foot first. And once we get those installed, then we'll come back with our plumb bob and we will plumb up to the bottom of our cats, all right, our wooden cats. So we're going to go ahead and measure and cut these and install them. And I'm not going to show you us doing that. I show you how to measure and install cats in another framing video in the framing series over at basementfinishingvideos.com. If you want to learn how to frame your basement, I have a complete series of videos that will show you step by step exactly how to do it. So I'm not going to show you that, but I will come back once we have the cats in. I'll show you them installed, and I'll show us plumbing the lines to the bottom of the cats and snapping that line when we come back. Okay, so we're ready to install our wood cats here. I want to show you what I did to get the measurement of this piece of wood. Okay, my wall is going where there is no wood, like I just said, so we have to put in what's called cats. All right, cats are just 2x4 chunks. And what you do is you want to take your tape measure. We got some insulation stuffed up here, but lift it up and measure over to the piece of wood that's up over top of your concrete wall. All right, there's going to be what's called a band joist or a rim joist that goes around the whole perimeter of your basement at the top here. All right, you want to be pressed up against there. I'm hitting wood up in there, right up against that piece of wood, and then you want to, whatever your tape measure says right here, all right, you can see it says 14 and a quarter. 14 and a quarter. 14 and a quarter would be the size cat that I need to put in here. Now, when I was off camera, Chris cut me one 14 and a quarter. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to take your 14 and a quarter, or whatever you got, whatever your measurement is, slide it up in there. All right, you might need your hammer. Tap it up in there. All right, and you want the bottom of your cat to be the same as the bottom of your floor joist. Okay, you want them to be the same. You don't want it sticking down. You don't want it up in. You want it to be flush with the bottom of your floor joist. And just take your air gun. Now we're using our pass load framer. All right, use whatever framing model you want. It's got 3 1/4 inch nails in it. And we're going to shoot through the side of our floor joist right into that cat. Alright, that's all you need. Alright, now where there was no wood to plumb to and snap a line to, we've got a cat there, and now we can snap our line on the bottom of these cats. Alright, put another one in over here. Now I measured this off camera, but this next one was 14 inches.
Yep.
Alright, stick it up in there. Like I said, you might need your hammer to knock these in here. They should fit snug. Alright, flush it out with the bottom of your floor joist. And then using your air equipment, and I am recommending throughout the entire framing series that you're using framing equipment. Framing guns with 3 1/4 inch nails, compressed air. Alright, I don't want you buying a box of 16-penny hand nails and hand nailing this job together. It'll take you forever. 2 nails right in the side. Alright, now this cat here and this cat right here, were already installed by the builder. You may or may not have any installed by the builder. If you do, it'll work just the same. All right, so now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 points to snap a line to the bottom of. And these are about 36 inches apart. That's fine. You can even go as far as 4 feet on those. 4 foot would be the maximum span. It doesn't hurt to put more in. If you wanted to put one in between each of these, that would be fine too. This is plenty for me. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our plumb bob, do the exact same thing we did on the first wall, except this time I'm going to be using my cat. I'm going to go up here and drop my plumb bob down to the floor. And you want to keep your plumb bob tip about 1/8 of an inch, no more than 1/4 of an inch up off the floor, so you get an accurate point down there. Alright, and this takes a little bit of practice, and it definitely takes a little bit of patience. And you want to get that point of the plumb bob right on the line. How's that look, Chris?
I go an eighth towards the wall, and you're good.
Okay, right about there.
Yep.
Alright, and then up top here, again, on your cat, wherever your string intersects your cat, you want to make a crow's foot coming right off that point, just like this. You see where that crow's foot is. The point of that crow's foot is my string. And we're going to set back towards the concrete wall. Okay? And we're going to do the same thing on the other side.
You're right on.
Right on. Okay, got our point on. Up top we make our crow's foot again. Right on the string. All we're doing is the exact same thing we did on the concrete floor, except we're doing it over our head now. Okay, and then between the 2 crow's feet, we're going to snap our line. You like that, Mark?
Yep.
Alright, pull down, snap. Alright, and on all of our cats will be setting towards the wall. You just make your X. Okay? Okay, so that's it for the layout. And remember to use your framing square. Make sure your inside and outside corners are perfectly square. You're going to need your chalk line with red chalk. You're definitely going to need your plumb bob. Remember, you're snapping all your lines on the floor first, and then you're transferring all those wall lines up to the ceiling second. So what I do is I go around and do all the exterior walls first, then I go back and I'll bring all the lines up with my plumb bob, and I'll do it all at the same time. So we're going to go back through now on every single floor line, transfer all of our marks up. Where we don't have perpendicular 2x joist to hit with our chalk line, we're going to add our wood cats, and we're going to finish out this layout job. So I hope that gives you enough to go down into your basement now and get your lines on your concrete floor and transfer everything perfectly up to the bottom of your first floor.